realize it's a Monday. Yes, I realize I am eating cheesecake. That's how it's going, okay? Um, let us review season 1, maybe, of Moonknight. I don't know, based on what I've read, if it's going to be, if there's going to be another season, or if we're just going to be left like that. I don't think we should, but that's how that is. Um, this is one of those Marvel TV shows, movies that I watched not because I was familiar with the superhero, and I am familiar with a fair amount of superheroes. Um, but like I said, I grew up with them. And I read comics and I watched TV shows and stuff, but there's still a fair amount because I was not an avid comic reader and I guess superhero fan, but that can be debated. I think I am, but I think there's different levels of it. Either way, I did not know who Moon Knight was or did not really want to watch the series um, just because I didn't want to feel out of the loop. Um, but in me choosing not to watch it, it made me feel more out of the loop. So I was like, I'll just give it a chance, like I do every single Marvel movie and or TV series. Um, Actually, not only the ones on Disney Plus, because then I can educate myself more and find out more, and then also like I will have watched every Marvel thing out there, um, on Disney Plus and movies, except for that one. And it's like, why not watch that one? It's the same reason why I watched Doctor Strange, why I watched Black Panther, because I was like, even though I'm not too familiar with it, even though I may not like it, or I may not understand it fully, or whatever the case, and I'm not really too interested in it. It is a Marvel movie, it is a superhero movie, thus I might like it. Thus, I should watch it to be educated on it. Well, yeah. I loved this TV series. Not TV series. This Disney Plus series. Season 1. The first episode, oh my goodness, I did not know this was going to be Egyptian mythology. So that was a surprise to me. I love Egyptian mythology. I love Greek mythology, but Egyptian mythology is like my first love. And even though I love Greek more, it's like Egyptian mythology again, first love. So when we were like in this museum and he was working there and Steven was just kind of like going to work every single day and like selling little toy mummies and stuff like that. I was living. Like that is like if I had not majored in English and had not wanted to teach, I think I would have been an anthropologist or an archaeologist. I love that stuff. Like anything old, it has historical aspects to it, which I'm not 100% familiar with it. I am good at history to an extent. Um but that's mainly like ancient world history. That's like more my vibe. And so like anything like mummies and like I'm in basically. And so seeing that, I was just like, yes, like I'm so ready. And then seeing the jackals like hunt him down, I'm like, I'm living for this. It was everything that I think I didn't expect but wanted. I didn't know that I wanted and I needed. Um, there's not a lot of good like Egyptian series and movies, take that back. Movies, yes. Egyptian series out there that like are like that good, I feel. So it just gave me like the Mummy vibes, Kane Chronicle vibes, King Tut vibes, all these vibes, and I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. And so we are introduced, first of all, to Steven. Steven he works at like a museum and he sells in the gift shop. But he's really knowledgeable about all this like ancient Egyptian things. He could have been an archaeologist in another life. So he just like loves that stuff. And so I don't know why he's working at the gift shop, but I'm like, okay. And I was getting in the museum vibes and I was loving it. And then we find out that he has been sleepwalking, traveling, ends up in random places and stuff. Um, and so there's this thing with the fish, and then there's not a thing with the fish, and then there's two fish at the end. I don't know what's happening with the fish. Certain things I was like, I still need more information, but it's okay. And then we kind of like through him realizing that he's like traveling, start putting pieces together and meeting new people that are kind of like they know him or they're questioning who he is and want to stop him because he has this scarab thing that apparently is going to lead him to Amit. And I thought I was familiar with all the Egyptian gods. Apparently I'm not. And he wants to keep that from Harib? Harib? Arab. Harib. I lost the name already. Because he wants to find Amit's tomb, which she's kind of like trapped in, revive her, so that way he can like establish peace on Earth and she can control everything and everything. And she's like, she wants those who are pure hearted and like all this stuff, but Lady Evil, Crocodile Lady Evil. And here I was thinking that the only crocodile god was like Sobet. Um, Apparently not. Um, and apparently the Egyptian gods can inhabit human bodies or like have them like fulfill their needs or whatever. Um, and they're called avatars. And basically, yeah, like they can do that for whatever reasons they want. And Steven was chosen. Then we meet Mark. Mark is Steven's reflection, who becomes a real person. Who is a real person? Who is the original real person, I guess, if you want to call it that way. We get into the whole multiple personality disorder thing, which obviously he does have. But I'm not one to diagnose. But I think it's good that there's representation for that because I've never seen that other than in movies like Split. I think it's good that it's a hero who has that. Because then it shows that these two sides of him can be heroic and they're two different people and they can like coexist together. In the end, when they're like talking and like finishing each other's sentences, total vibes. Cute. Love it. I got cheesecake on me. Like, it's just like it makes you feel like we've come full circle. Obviously, like I don't know the treatment for those with multiple personalities disorder, and I don't even know if you can call it with a disorder anymore. I'm not too familiar with it, but I don't know if that can happen with it. I think that's a beautiful thing that happened. I don't know how realistic it is, but I liked it. And then we meet alter ego Jake Lockie, who is evil. But like he's like the third personality. and he likes to kill. I've done my research. I've to an extent. So I'm like, okay. And at the end, obviously, he kills Harab, who's Amit's avatar at that point, and stuck in him. And that's the only way she can die, and he can die, and they can expect not to have the world invaded by her again, which ends up happening in the last episode. Um, because the guy does end up finding her, resurrecting her, and he is not pure of heart. Apparently, he was, what's the guy's name? Khonshu's avatar before, um, but he's not pure of heart. But then she wants it. I don't know. It's weird. And he's got like this whole clan thing. It was reminding me of like Winter Soldier and Falcon, like vibes. I'm just like all these people just wanting the wrong thing. I think it says a lot of things and mirrors a lot of things. And I think that's what it's meant to. But yeah, I was reminded of that. And then we meet uh Mark's wife, ex-wife, or she signed. They both signed the papers, but I don't think they submitted it. In the end, he's like, "Oh, baby," and I'm like, "Okay, we're together again." But you also like the other guy, so yeah. And so I think it just like works that she likes these two personalities. I don't think she knows that there's another personality or quite understands. I think at this point, actually, she does understand that he, has two sides of him, and like it's a a thing that he has. It's not just kind of like a thing that's attached to. At first, I thought it was attached to the whole Egyptian Khonshu thing, but it's not. Apparently, Mark, he was Mark first. I don't think that multiple personality like, and I'm trying to be a funny show, and like obviously I want to like review it being funny and witty and everything, like I always am, but I am aware that this is like a real thing that people go through, and it's sad sometimes, it's frustrating. Like I said, I don't know too much about it, and I feel like with, I guess, mental illnesses that I'm more aware with, I'm much more aware of what, and like I think that's like a topic for conversation. I'm much more aware of like what to say because I know more about it. So therefore I am trying to educate myself on this now that, like, I think like everyone should educate themselves on everything, but like it's the type of thing like it was presented to me in my life through this TV show. I want to know more about it, but I don't know more about it, but I'm trying to be conscious of the fact that I'm talking about it, but I'm also talking about it in respect of the show, which it was also kind of like back and forth, witty, funny in the show, but also show respect to it as much as the show did because it did. Um, and I love that it did that and was able to portray these two different aspects of it where it's like they could have fun with it, but also not make it something that people are feeling criticized or like feeling like it was portrayed the wrong way. So therefore I don't know enough about it. So I'm trying to be aware of what I'm saying, but I also don't know so much about it and I'm still learning about it. So I'm trying here is all I'm trying to say. um But yeah, and I don't know if that's how it starts. Like you develop a personality and it just kind of happens. Like I don't know how he developed this personality because his mom was not being his mom anymore, and she was like going through stuff and everything, and he didn't want to acknowledge it or like go through it. I think obviously like he was in the back of his mind him when he became Stephen. Mark was obviously still seeing this stuff happen. So I think it was just more sort of like his way of like separating himself from it. But I don't know how much good that did. Um, so he created this whole other person, um, who at first when that scene happened, like I said, like I don't know too much about it. It seemed like he was creating this character that had already existed and was sort of like his imaginary best friend, but obviously it wasn't imaginary. It was a part of his personality. But in the way they like constructed that scene, it felt very much like he created this um to help him escape what he was going through. Um and to see it portrayed like as his personality becoming a whole person was very intriguing. So that happened. Um and his wife, who I love, she's amazing. She's like fire all the way. Totally 100% questioning everything. I love it. But then also not questioning the things that should be questioned. And I'm trying to figure out, how did you know that he has this suit thing? What did he tell you? What has he not told you? Because obviously you don't know a lot. Um and so basically somehow she she calls Mark's phone. Steven finds it. She finds him, realizes that it's Steven, not Mark. Takes her a while to figure that out. Ends up developing feelings for Steven, but still loves Mark, and ends up being hurt by him because she finds out he was with when he died, because he got resurrected, um, and became the avatar for Khonshu, which I want more on that and how that all happened and what was happening with like him and this crew and everything. But he was like, basically he made mistakes, and he was working with her dad, and something happened and they all died basically, and he didn't tell her. And I don't know how. I think like he went to go find her or something. Like there's a way how they met. And obviously they fell. I want to see that. I want to see how they fell in love and all that. And then they married, and he decides he doesn't want her to be a part of this anymore. Khonshu wants her as the next avatar, which I think, like, I didn't know they got to like choose. Like, I don't know why Mark was freaking out. If like she got the choice and being like, no, I don't want to, then she didn't have to. But I guess he was afraid that maybe she wanted to. Um, because like when the other goddess has her as the avatar, she's like no, and then she's like yes, and then Conchu's like, he asked her to. It's like asking for permission, and it's like, okay, I thought you just kind of inhabited the body and that's what happened. But no, it's not by force. Like they asked politely, so good for them for inhabiting our bodies and asking before they do. Um so yeah. And then she becomes this fierce with the wings, and it's just like, yes, it's epic. And I love it. I love it. And on the topic of mental illnesses and stuff, there's all this stuff about him being the first superhero with like mental issues, mental health issues. He's not. He's not, obviously. He's the first one with this kind, and that I think we should appreciate and admire. And the actor who did this, he's the one, like, I only know him from Star Wars. He did phenomenally. And so I hope we get to see more of him. Um, and I don't know who's tying Steven up in the middle of the night. I think it's him, like, so that way he won't go places, but then he still ends up going places, and then he still ends up falling and hurting himself. Um, he gets fired. He remembers bits and pieces in the beginning of, like, promises that he made that he didn't keep and everything. Bits of his life is like he's losing bits of time and everything. And later we find out it's because Mark attended his mother's funeral, and of course mentally that was like challenging for him, so he wasn't able to keep the two apart. Mark was the one who was like Khonshu's avatar, but the body obviously belonged to both of them. So now it was both of them. I love how we like differentiate the two. not just by the accent, but like we don't need that, but like I guess for the purpose of like TV, um it just like it makes sense. And then like the suits change, like Steven gets like this spiffy like suit. It just all just so well done, and I love how the show does it. But I also feel like it brings up this controversy in people where it's like, is it this witty thing that we can like talk about it, like the show makes it this witty thing, but they do it in such a good way that it doesn't feel like it? Or are we, when we talk about this, making fun of the disorder? Like, it brings all these questions up, and I'm like, I see both sides. I understand. And how this show has made that a complex thing. But I also see how this show has done a lot of good in representation and all that. So I guess it's where to find the fine line and always treat things with respect and know what you are doing and do research and ask questions, because nobody's perfect, but I think we should always be respectful and mindful. And that's just me. And I did not the right way to go about things and anything, just be respectful and mindful. But of course, you could be more respectful and mindful to things. So, yeah. But all in all, love the series um thus far. And uh I don't know how they learned that spell to trap the crocodile lady, but they learned it. Uh and the whole wife trusting him, not trusting him, falling. It's just like it. I had all this confidence. I was like, lady, I would just leave by now, but you clearly like all this going on, and you're curious and like you love him and you like him. So let's just see where this goes. But yeah. Anything else I have to talk about? I think that's it. Obviously there's a lot more that probably I'm missing, but I think I got like the chunk of it. Uh, the fact that Layla couldn't see certain things and then like sort of just accepted that they were there after a while, like once like things were revealed, like, and she was so good at like pinpointing what thing was where, um was great. uh when they died again and they entered like their limbo, when their hearts are being weighed and everything, and we meet, I don't know what her name is, the hippo goddess and everything. I thought she was gonna play more of a part. She didn't. She's just kind of there, talking, narrating kind of what's going on. That's basically it. But yeah, they found their way out of that. I don't know how Mark could go back to the sands, like, and then like revive Steven. Like I thought he like died, and like I thought when you fall into the sands, like you die. So I don't know how that happened, but they ran and they revived themselves, and everything was okay. And then at the end, Khonshu releases Mark and Steven, but obviously he still has Jake, and he's the one who's telling Jake like kill this guy, and like Khonshu, not really a good dude, but what can you do? I don't know if Layla's gonna keep being the Avatar. She was really cool, but like she's cool just being her. Same with the suit and everything. Uh, when we find out that Steven is like not really calling his mom because his mom is dead, and he's just pretending to talk on the phone, you think it's like an actual thing, but it happened in the beginning, and you think he's actually talking to his mom or leaving her a voicemail. It's like, no, you just kind of popped your phone. You don't notice because your brain is telling, because it's compartmentalizing things, and Mark is like just living in the mirror, and you can only talk to him through the mirror, but that's after like certain, because that's when the reality starts breaking in. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all real soon. And I hope to see more of this